Hi, everybody. It's Donna Reed from Up With People, 1976. Most of you know that. Today, I'm doing a different interview, something that I haven't done before. I am interviewing a young woman who traveled in WorldSmart. And so far, we haven't done any of that. We've had all Up With People alumni. And so welcome, Silvana. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
So part of the reason that I wanted to interview you was because we haven't had like many alumni from Albania. So I want to hear how you even learned about this program. But the other piece is because of WorldSmart, it tends to get lost in the whole Up With People thing. And you guys, just before we started recording, I asked whether or not they traveled as Up With People / WorldSmart or just WorldSmart. And Silvana, tell the people listening what you just told me.
So we traveled as WorldSmart, but there were many places we went that were very familiar with Up With People and were hosting Up With People before. So we would go like WorldSmart, Up With People, new program. So that was our introduction, kind of.
Okay. And how did you hear about WorldSmart? Where were you living? Like, how did it even come into your world?
Oh, that's funny. I was living in Albania, and I was 28 at the time, and I was working full time, and I was just like having this vision of me traveling around the world and learning and immersing with the cultures and living with host families. I'd heard about Peace Corps, but we didn't have something like that for Albanians, so I wanted something similar. So I went in and Googled, and I was like, leadership programs, traveling, culture immersion, and then WorldSmart popped up, and that was the very first year that WorldSmart started. So
And what year was that?
That was 2004.
2004. Okay.
And I think the Up With People had stopped at some point. And
I think so too.
And they started with a new vision and a new tryout program, which was the WorldSmart
program. Okay. So that's, it's funny just to hear you say you Googled it today in my morning meeting. They talked about how there's like 20 million or billion like Google searches every day. And you're enough of a generation where that was already something that you were doing where it didn't exist when I was a kid, right? We weren't hearing about things that way. So tell me, because truly I don't know. You would think I would, after being on the board of governors and after doing all this, that I would understand a little bit more about WorldSmart. But tell everybody kind of like what you paid and how it evolved, what you did that was maybe different than what we did when we came in, did a show, and things like that.
So when I applied, it sounded really expensive to me because coming from a developing country, that was like something, I think was something like $14,000, and including everything. But like coming from Albania, where like average salary per month was like $300. I was like, ooh, and I had some savings and like I can do some, and then I was offered a scholarship and then some kind of loan, and so I managed to do that, and I was considered a adult at the time, 28. So
yeah.
I had my savings, and my parents were not paying, and they were not making my decisions. They were just like, okay, I'm traveling, see ya. So all that known, like didn't have any input on my decisions there. But so I had never heard of Up With People, and I did not hear of Up With People till I showed up in Denver. And a lot of kids in my cast were coming from families. They grew up with Up With People. They went to reunions, and this was a whole different program, what I heard from them. And we didn't do a lot of shows. We did put together a little I don't remember what we called it, but it was like a host family thank you show kind of at the end of the week for each town we went to. And there were no rehearsals in place. It was like one day where like whoever had talents was just rehearsing for a little bit and put it together. It was just kind of like a thank you. We were here. Here's a show for you. And there were like no paying for tickets or anything. It was just host families and friends invited.
Okay, so then Did students come that had guitars or some musical ability and they just decided to bring them along with them, or?
No one brought any instruments. This was advertised more as a WorldSmart leadership program where you are traveling with an instructor from Denver University. You are receiving credits from the university. You are doing a lot of community work. You are doing internships, and you are staying with host families, and you are traveling, and you are having your personal day. And I mean, even the show was not part of the advertisement; it was just like part of the program.
Okay. And so how many, when I traveled, we did like 80 cities. And then when my son traveled in 2013, it was like one a week, right? So way fewer, but much longer in town. So how was yours in the midst of that? How long did you spend in town?
We traveled for 19 weeks. We spent 1 week in each town. So we were in 19 different towns, 6 different countries, and it was 84 of us, and there were 27 different countries represented in that group.
That's awesome. I mean, that really is. And you know what? You and I just, chatted a little bit on Facebook Messenger about how the new program sounds like a melding of the old Up With People and what you did. And it really does, hearing you talk about it, because they're looking at 3 months at a time, and then a lower cost for those 3 months, and maybe 50 in each. I don't know if they're going to call them cast. You guys called yourself cruise, right?
Cast.
Yeah.
Cast, actual cast.
Oh, okay. And behind you guys, I had her, or I asked her to put up, she had shares this with me, some of the cities and things where she went from her scrapbook. So that's cool. So did you come in the summer of 2004? Is that when you flew to Denver and it started, or? Okay.
Yes, it was August 2004. I think it was end of August sometime. No, it was beginning of August, and the program ended in December. So we're like 4 months traveling.
Okay. But you went a lot of places. So,
you did.
So then I can't remember it, the years go by. I can't remember when I met you on the board of governors, but you were representing that WorldSmart era kind of on the board, weren't you?
Yeah, that's correct. I think we met for the first time in was it Belgium? We had a meeting there. Was it Belgium or Netherlands?
There was one in Cologne too.
No, that was the Belgium one.
Okay.
See, the first time I met real Up With People. I mean, not first time. I had met them during our travels, but I was hanging with you guys, and I was like sitting there in my corner. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know any of this.
Yeah. That's so. It's just fascinating to think about that, and honestly, kind of bold and brave of you, to step up and do that. And so then all of a sudden you probably are at reunions, you've helped with things, you've done things, you've heard music through the years. So one of the things that I kind of ask everybody is about songs, and clearly they were not the emphasis, the focus of your, I want to say show, boy, the words that are in my head, what you did. But have there been songs through the years that you have learned or that you haven't enjoyed, even though it wasn't part of your travel experience?
Yeah, but we did few Up With People songs when we traveled. I mean, of course, Up With People, the hymn song, it's like the one everybody knows. And then we had the 1-2-1, and we had to learn all the sign language with that.
Like that 1-2-1.
We sang that song in every single Japanese school and nursery we went to, and high schools, and all host families shows. And this became like, now when I hear it, I was like, oh yeah, I want to one.
Just immediately start doing it. That's great that you can do that in a lot of different languages. Dave Martin back in Ohio can sing Up With People in a whole bunch of different languages, but if you can do 1-to-1 in a lot of different languages, that's pretty cool.
Oh, we didn't. We only did the English version with the sign language.
Oh, you just signed. Okay. You didn't learn it in a bunch of different languages.
No.
That's cool. But it sounds like it was a little more impromptu, and because they weren't selling tickets and things like that. And again, it feels like, from what I have heard from talking to people involved in the future of Voices Up with People, that there will be music and that they're going to take 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many songs from through the years, but make them a little more updated and modern so that it's not the same way it was. And honestly, that happened with Roads through the years. There would be different endings to it, you know, or wherever people went. And some of the things that were in the show in 2013 that came back from the 70s, they would update them. So it sounds a little like that's what they're going to do. But I think in the future, they also are hoping that within the communities where they are, that people join in, that young people who are musicians will participate and bring their own songs, and maybe the group that's traveling will write something, you know, which is kind of cool in my opinion. So you did service projects then in these different communities. Did the sponsor, like a typical Up With People would be Jim Click here in Tucson, he would choose charities or things that he was part of, and then there would be work that was done or that the students did. Did your sponsors choose some of those, or what was that like for you, the participation and service in the communities?
So usually we're like local communities where we went, and they would come up with what they needed help with. So we did, like, for example, in Colorado, we went and cleaned up one of the forests that just had like a big, huge fire. And there was habitat restoration projects. We would go and build and clean in the houses. Japan was mostly would go in the nursery, in the schools, and help the kids and just interact with the children. And then we go like in the nursery homes and stuff. And just like all the projects were like selected by the locals. Like that's what we need. That's where we think you are more needed. And we were like separated in little groups. Actually would do like various projects in town where we were. So we're not like all in one same place.
Right. It's sometimes, even now, my company does volunteering. It's hard to find a place for 100 people to go. I'll do the same thing. So you divide it up and maybe conquer different branches of a nonprofit or something.
We had little home teams. We called them home teams. So we knew who was going where, and those home teams were like during the whole program, and we did like different things together. So
do you feel like you stayed closer to those people then that were in your home team, or did you feel like you developed other relationships that have been just as much through the years?
Oh yeah, we developed relationships like with the other kids in the team, so not just the home teams.
So how have your alumni, the WorldSmart alumni, how have you been at staying together? And or does that group of people come to the reunions? Do you feel like you're part of things, or do you feel like you're kind of like over in the corner living in this different world?
We are pretty close together. Like a lot of us are talking. We have our own like Facebook page. We have our like own WhatsApp thing going on. Those who don't have, and we really keep close to each other. I think for reunions, I haven't been to one. You need to come to one. I feel like outsider. I'm like, I'm gonna go there. I don't know anyone. I don't know if I want to be there. So like at some point I was telling Sheila that I'll come and I'll be part of your crew. So.
Yeah, so this year it's up in Phoenix, and then next year, did you hear in Helsinki? I have an itchy ear, sorry.
I heard that, yes. I might do that one.
I know, I really want to go next year.
That's great.
Is it no, it's not Helsinki, it's somewhere in Ireland.
Yes, it's in Ireland.
I don't know why I said Helsinki. Yeah.
It's somewhere there.
Anyway, I've never spent enough time in the British Isles, so I want to go.
So yeah, we are close to each other. I think the only ones that go to the reunions are the ones that have their connections with like through their parents or like that were there before as kids and stuff. But I don't think I haven't heard of any like WorldSmart leadership program kids that went
interesting
the Up With People family that are going to those reunions. And again, I have not been, and it's not because of time or money, or I just like
how do I fit? Yeah, you
what do
know,
I do it? What do I don't sing. I don't know those songs. I love
yes,
those songs.
but you could
I
go and
listen
do
to
one to
them.
one.
I know one to one, but I don't know if they sing that. So
Some
yeah,
of the
I've been
years.
a little bit out of that. Still in my
You,
corner.
yeah, yeah. You know, as the future comes to the present and as this evolves, there's going to be a whole lot of people in the situation that you're in. The alumni and what we knew in the 70s and the 60s and the 80s are going to be fading away. And it's going to be people who did 12 weeks or 20 weeks or whatever, and maybe sang a few songs and maybe didn't. So part of the, I think, alumni board working now in conjunction with people who will be new alumni is to figure out what do we do, how do we do it, and incorporate everybody in without maybe those of us that are in our 60s reliving our show and doing a dance that we can't dance anymore and things like things.
It's interesting. I had a message this morning from one of the alumni, and he traveled with people. I guess he'd never heard or maybe heard of WorldSmart, and then he was trying to get my opinion on the voice, which is kind of like hybrid as we talked. And
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you go in towns now, people remember Up With People coming in the shows and singing and having those concerts. Do they remember community service? Do they remember what you did in that town? And I didn't respond to that yet, but like, to my thinking is that those kids in schools or nursery homes, those people, they do remember us going there and interacting with them and bringing like 26 different countries in their little teeny tiny school. So it depends who you ask. I mean, that we're connected to Up With People and know about the shows, they will remember the shows, but those that we went and had an impact will remember us. I don't know. So I think we can get like both sides of the coin there. So
I agree. And I think it's going to be interesting because one of the, I keep hearing the terms, change makers, and the whole idea that they hope to have people stay within the communities. So let's say you go to, we're going to just say a suburb of Washington, D.C., since that's where you're joining me from. Let's just say that they come there and this group of 50 work and do their impact work. And then their goal is to also then have people left in the communities, not meaning that they say, Silvana, you stay here now, but they have created and affected people within the community that those kids sort of carry on the movement and the service and the piece like that, so that there is this impact that's left in the town, because that's the point. The point is we want to make change, we want to affect the world, and we want to do it all over the world. It's just happening in a little bit different way. And maybe there'll be a song,
maybe
something like that. Okay, so one of the other questions that I like to ask everybody is if there was a food that you ate on the road that you would never eat again, or something that you tasted that you love and now you've incorporated it into your life and your children have tried it and things like that.
Oh, the food that I hated. Oh gosh, the fermented beans in Japan. They smell terrible. I'm sorry. I love Japanese food, but this is not one thing I'll ever eat. And I get it. I'm very adventurous. My husband and my kids say that if a zombie apocalypse comes, I'm gonna be the last one to go because I eat everything. But that I will not.
Not gonna have those beans. All right. What about something that you loved?
Sushi. Sushi is just
really
my thing, and like being in Japan, and then I had like my host family, my one of my host families, the first one actually in Chiba. My host father wakes up in the morning and I'm like getting up and trying to get ready, and he's like waiting out there holding a fish, and he's like, breakfast, sushi. I'm like, okay, that's a little too early before coffee.
That's funny, but it's good that you learned to like sushi. For me, sushi is still mostly rice, seaweed, and avocado. Like the California, maybe a little tuna, maybe a little
No,
crab. I'm a wimp.
we are very adventurous with sushi, but like I loved it, the freshness, and then just they
That's
would do
great.
all these big pots and like whole family eating, and it was cool.
Yeah, yeah. All right. What about a place? You and I, well, actually, one of the reasons I got in contact with you is because you had posted on the alumni page about where you're going this summer and your travels and things. Is there any place that you haven't been that you would really, really like to go or to take your boys and expose them to?
Oh my gosh, there are a few of them in there, but Africa has been always high in my list. I don't know which place specifically in Africa. I haven't done the search.
You
but
want to
like
do the safari kind of thing? Is that what you want to do? Or
we like to immerse with locals. So like I'm not much of like when I don't go like touristy places, downtowns,
right.
say big hotels. Like if I can immerse with locals, it's awesome.
Okay.
But yeah, Africa, Galapagos, another
Oh,
one.
okay.
Peru.
Interesting. I've never been to South America. So that's, and recently I've discovered that we have family, fifth cousin generation or whatever, who are in South America based on when Germans moved to Peru and to Brazil and stuff. So, okay, your husband, is he also Albanian?
No,
No.
he's a US. American.
Okay. You have an unusual last name, so I wasn't, I wasn't sure. And you have two boys, and how old are they?
He's second generation Ukrainian. So
Okay.
yes, and I have two boys, almost 14 and 12.
Okay. Okay.
They are dual citizenship, and they speak and understand Albanian as well.
I was going to ask if they did. That's great. Is that just because you spoke to them at home, or because you've gone back and forth to Albania?
That's because my parents don't speak any English, and I try to keep them kind of like be able to talk to their grandparents.
Yeah, yeah.
So
What took you to
sometimes in Albania by themselves with my parents, and so they kind of immerse there.
Forces you to learn. What took you to the Washington, D.C. area?
I came and I was taking some classes which were not offered in Albania and at George Mason University.
Okay.
And it was kind of a semester. And then I met my husband. And as I was planning to go back to Albania after I was being done, we found out I was pregnant. So here we are. 15 years later.
Guess I'll stay here.
15 years later, 2 kids, few animals, few houses.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are there things about, I just say home, I think wherever we spent our childhood, are there things about Albania that you miss?
I don't miss Albania. I miss people a lot. I don't miss the politics. I miss the country. I miss the landscape. I miss the mountains, the sea. It's just a beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unexplored. It's like still kind of virgin.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've seen pictures recently. I think I told you that our company is opening some real estate offices over there. And so I've been seeing pictures. Yeah. Yeah. I've been seeing people sitting on a restaurant patio deck looking out over, the water and the rock cliffs and things like that. And it's lovely. Yeah. So as one of the things that I like to try to end this with is if you were going to talk to, I mean, you have children who are growing into the age where they could do something like this. So if your son came to you and said, your eldest, and said, "Hey, Mom, in a couple of years, I want to go do this. I want to do what you did. I want to travel. I want to, what would you tell a young person? The new group Voices will be like 18 to 25-year-olds. What do you feel like you gained that you would encourage someone else to go and do this?
Oh my gosh, so much. In that age, I was a little older. I was like one of the oldest in my cast. But if I was 17, 18, when we traveled, we had kids in that cast that were like 18, never been out of US. And they were from like these shy kids who started like very introvert, and they bloomed into like the end of the program. You were like that the kid I met the first day at the program, like it was amazing, like the change you could see. For a 28-year-old, for me, it was a lot about like learning about the cultures and the countries. And I'm sure like I did not learn as much as those kids did. Like as I was a little traveled, like we learned a lot, but like age is
Right.
like really key when you participate
Oh,
in
yeah.
the program. And I have told my nieces, and I have told all like young kids that are like, oh, we want to take a gap year. And I'm like, look at this program because it's amazing. And
Yes.
it changed me. It changed a lot of kids in that traveled with me. And it's
Yeah.
if I was 17, 18, I'll do it over and over again.
Yeah. You know, so I was 18. I turned 18 at the end of June and I left like July 6th. And I think that when you're 18 and you've just been the oldest in your high school, you think you know everything because you just graduated from high school. And, you know, 45, 46 years later, I look at that and think how much I didn't know and how much I learned. And sometimes, Silvana, I reflect on whether or not I was who I was, and I would always be who I am now, or what impact this program had on who I am now and how I see the world, and the fact that I even know where Albania is, right? When, you know, there's just so much that I feel like this program does for young people. So do you have any questions or any parting words that you would want to say?
No, I mean, it's just like, it's thank you for giving me this opportunity, like to tell the others about the WorldSmart Leadership Program. And
I'm
hey,
so excited. Yeah.
anyone is welcome to like message me or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I'll answer the questions. But
no, I think that's wonderful. And I really want, you know, the new CEO, and I hope that people listen to this because we don't know what we don't know. Right. And as I mentioned, even serving on the board with you, even sitting there and doing some things, I'm unaware. And it's amazing how much I feel like this is going to be like the future program and things like that. So thank you.
I love all these interviews, Donna. I'm so glad you're doing those, and I have been listening to them, and it's just amazing. And I've learned a lot. Like, you know what you know, right? But like,
oh yeah, for me,
like, wow.
even the people that I think I knew, I'm like, I didn't know that about you, and I thought you know, you kind of think you know everything,
yeah.
but you don't. And it's been super fun for me. And my goal with all of this is for people to understand where we all came from, how different we all are, how we all have backstories, you know, and yet at the end of the day, kind of we're all working for the same thing, right? You know, for what we want to do. So, well, I will let you know when I have this go live. It'll be a couple of weeks. Hopefully there will not be snow on my picnic table at that point. And in the meantime, I'm looking forward to hearing about your connections when you're in Prague and, you know, traveling this year.
Very excited.
Yes, that's super exciting. And I may like specifically suggest that SEMA be in touch because I think that you and or some others that are part of WorldSmart could be good resources. So thank you for sharing those other names with me. And hopefully I can get Danielle or somebody else to do an interview. So
Awesome.
all right. All righty. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you.
Thank you.